Helen, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Yeah, doing really well, thank you.
Good.
Wow, so lovely.
Got it all sussed out.
Yeah, got it all sussed out. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really do appreciate it. What I'll do is I'll do a proper introduction and then just kind of have a chat and fire away from there because I know that our proud Kiwis Abroad community will really love to hear from you. Um, so you're a former Prime Minister. You spent 30 years or 3 decades plus in politics, 3 terms as Prime Minister from 1999 to 2008. You had the third highest ranking, you were the third highest ranking official at the UN. And yet the more I read about you and the more, I kind of, looked at the person that you were, that barely scratches the surface of your accomplishments and the kind of things that you've done. So thank you so much for spending the time with me today. And I'd like to introduce Helen Clark to my Proud Kiwis Abroad community. So thank you.
Hi, Proud Kiwis.
Thank,
Lovely talking to you.
thank you. So look, as you know, I represent the community of Proud Kiwis Abroad, and we do like to reminisce. So I thought we could kick off by just asking you, what is one of the favourite things that you remember about growing up in New Zealand as a child?
I grew up on a farm, so I have many memories of having pet lambs, taking them to the local, well, it used to be called the calf club, even though little lambs. The Waipa Schools Association A&P show. Our lives revolved around the farm and animals and chasing them and docking lambs and being in the shearing shed. And of course, our local school, which had 4 rooms. My mother had been a teacher, so she made sure that we were very focused on our schoolwork as well as on what we did around the farm. Those are my main memories.
Awesome. So did you ride horses at all on the farm?
We had horses on the farm, and yes, I did ride horses, but not as much as my sisters. I had 2 sisters in particular who were very, very keen on horses. I actually wasn't particularly interested in horses.
No, fair enough.
To be reading a book probably.
Oh, fantastic. And look, did you have a favourite ice cream flavour at all?
Caramello.
Oh, nice, nice. So where did your interest in politics begin? So you said that you'd most likely be found with a book somewhere. How did it all start for you? Where did that interest begin?
Well, some families are more interested in politics than others. My
Mm.
family was interested, and when it gathered at Christmas, there'd be a very wide range of political opinion there. But we knew about politics. We were kind of tuned into it. It's said that my great-grandfather who came to the farm from the United Kingdom used to listen to Parliament on the radio every night.
Ah,
Parliament on the radio long before it was ever on TV, or before there ever was TV.
wow.
To our part of New Zealand until the mid-1960s. So when I went to university, these were very political times, and I got involved in the issues of the day and eventually joined the Labour Party, and the rest is history.
Yes, gosh, yeah, amazing. To just think that it, began in that way, and that it was very much part of your, family culture that you grew up with, which is just fabulous. So, I guess you've applied for some pretty, hefty roles in your time, and I guess, one of the questions that I would like to ask, what attributes or qualities do you think are important for leadership, or for somebody that's going for a role that's the biggest that they've ever, biggest journey that they've ever embarked upon in their career? What would you say, would be some of those standout attributes?
Well, firstly, you really have to know that you want to do it, because leadership positions are 24/7. Require an enormous amount of effort, stamina, ability to be very resilient,
Mm.
up all the time, and physically it's quite demanding, to say nothing of any other stress that might be involved with the job
Mm.
from time to time. So also be prepared to persevere, because things don't always work out the first time, or even the next time, or maybe not the time after.
Yeah.
Some things take quite a long time, and some things may not happen for you at all. So you have to be able to lose as well as to win. Winning's easy.
Yes.
Losing, I think that brings out the character in people.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, one of the questions that I had, I've got a business networking group that's in New Zealand as well, and one of our members of the group said she was particularly interested, Vivian Field is her name, she was particularly interested to hear, how did you rise above all the negativity about you as a woman in power? So talk a little bit about that maybe, and that resilience required.
Well, there's an old saying, isn't there? Don't let the bastards get you down.
Yeah.
So you always have critics in politics, and some of them are really mean-spirited, I have to say. So you have to have a deaf ear to them. You always want to have an open ear to other people's perspectives and constructive ideas and criticisms, but some people just are off the spectrum, and you should take no notice of them. Social media, you should block them. You really don't have to engage with such people, and they're out there. They're unpleasant, and everyone who's been in public life will know about that. But most people are reasonable people. Most people have a point of view. They want to put it reasonably. They want you to listen to it. And that's great. Listening is also a big part of what leadership's about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so were there tough times when you just wondered what the heck you were doing? That, or some of the toughest times that you found in those leadership positions?
Oh, there were very tough times. I remember at one stage, probably 1995, I think the Labour Party crashed to about 14% of the public opinion polls, and that's the death zone, really.
Yeah.
And fighting back out of that was really extremely challenging. I think I got down to 2% as preferred Prime Minister at one point, but I always believed that I could do the job. I believed I could do it, better than anyone else who was around at the time. So I hung in there with the support of my family and my friends and a lot of colleagues.
Yeah, and I guess that would be the key, regardless of what kind of field you do find yourself in, is to have that really close-knit support network that can be there for you during the tough times as well as the good times as well. Yeah.
You can't do anything without networks of support.
Yeah.
You never do it all on your own. If you try to, you'll fail. That's the reality. Everyone knows in a workplace it takes a team. Someone said it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
We never do it on our own.
Yeah.
We need teams and backing, and family, of course, are extremely important.
Absolutely. And so then switching gears, talk about some highlights. So, and I've just got some notes. So you've been a huge advocate for building an inclusive society, embracing change your whole life. I remembered reading, busting through barriers, and really encouraging women to believe in themselves. And so I'd be curious to hear what of some of the highlights have been, or some of your proudest moments.
Well, probably the proudest moment would have been the night in 1999 when Labour polled well enough to lead a government, and I became Prime Minister within a week or two of that election result.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a highlight. It happened twice more, which was also great. Elections get harder as time goes on, and eventually that ran out. I had a lot of proud moments with good things that we did, whether it was bringing in the paid parental leave for working parents with a new baby for the first time as a entitlement under law. I think of the years at UNDP, really they were fantastic years, being able to visit and interact with people all around the world, from the very poorest, most war-torn countries to aspiring, stable, middle-income countries on the rise. So there's been decades of great experiences in this career.
Absolutely, and that leads us into your quest for UNSG as well, and the reason for the call today of the movie, the screening that's coming up in Sydney in March, which is My Year with Helen, the movie. So talk to us about that. Like, how did that come about, and what was that like?
Well, Secretary Generals are elected for a 5-year period, and often they have 2 terms of office. So the sitting Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon from Korea, He came to the end of his term in 2016, and there was a period of about 6 months that year when you could say the campaign for who would be the next Secretary General was on. I put my hand up. The majority of candidates were women, and there was a lot of interest among women and some countries for having a woman Secretary General. But history will record, of course, that the women candidates, no matter how senior and how much they've achieved in their lives, weren't really considered up there in the top league of candidates when it came to the votes cast by the Security Council members. Now, they will intellectualise and give all sorts of reasons for that, but I think we'd be blind to think that gender issues didn't play a role. They didn't play the only role. Politics, there was language issues, there were all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But, it just is interesting that in a field with a number of well-qualified women, they couldn't get into the top league of the voting.
Yeah, which is, you like to think that in, 2016 and now 2018 that we're, making great progress as women for those really, senior and pivotal roles around the planet, that we can have a really solid voice for representing ourselves, but as equals as well. But it seems like we still have such a long way to go.
We do have a long way to go, and most countries have never had a woman leader. Australia has had a woman leader, and she did win an election.
She did, yeah.
New Zealand is on its third woman prime minister, third woman governor general. Iceland's had a woman president and 2 women prime ministers. Norway, 2 women prime ministers. UK, 2 women prime ministers. Look, there's a number of countries that have experienced this, but most never have. As of today, if we take all the presidents and monarchs in the world, 7% are female. If we take the heads of government, the prime ministers, 5% are female.
Wow, yeah.
So when you're presenting yourself at the UN for these top positions, you're presenting to a body of member states, countries, which have never known senior women's leadership. Actually, having a woman leader was really of no account to most of them. It wouldn't really have been considered particularly relevant.
Yep, or I guess, and so it wasn't even on their radar that they might consider that as a possibility. It just wasn't in there. No, wow.
It's a bit like our countries, going back 20, 30 years when I became leader of the opposition, which was 1993, which is quite a long time ago, quarter of a century ago. No one really thought that a woman was going to be elected prime minister. So, the UN's still in that stage, I'm afraid.
And yet here you are, even though you were the second woman Prime Minister of New Zealand, you were the first elected into that position, which is, a huge accomplishment as well. So tell us, what can people expect from the movie that's coming up? I know that you're going to be attending there in person, which is pretty exciting, for those that are really coming to see the movie and that they'll have that opportunity to meet with you. What can people expect from watching the film?
Firstly, book soon if you're interested is my message, because the tickets are just taken off.
I bet.
About 88% sold.
Wow.
A couple of hours ago, so get onto that ticket site, which is on my social media and so on. Secondly, the film it actually starts in Botswana, because the filmmaker was going to make a film about a year with me out on the road around developing countries.
Wow.
And that got taken by the Secretary General campaign, and actually switches to New York. So a lot of people get pretty mad when they watch the film.
Do they?
Because they know what the ending was, and they never knew the backstory.
Right.
Galen Preston's film is the backstory. What was happening there? And Galen came into this. She describes herself as having been a UN virgin. She said, I knew nothing about any of this. So what she does is ask all the questions that any layperson would ask.
Right. Yeah.
She gets to the truth of it, and she describes her work as a fly on the wall documentary. So she's just kind of there observing what's going on. But yes, people do get mad, and often at the end, in the question period, they'll ask a lot of questions, and they ask, what can we do to change this? We're so mad. And I say, look, we just all have to be on about equal with men to hold any position.
Yeah.
And that's going to require a lot of change in global society for more women to be coming through as heads of government and heads of state and senior parliamentarians. You know, of all the diplomats, ambassadors accredited to the UN in New York, 21% are women. So
wow.
you're facing a body of ambassadors where one in five is female.
Yeah, gosh, yeah, just boggles my mind a little bit, I have to say, and I guess, you know, the viewers that have been to see the film, you know, hence why they come out a little bit infuriated as well. And I know that we've got a screening coming up in September that's going to be held in Melbourne, and since posting on our Proud Kiwis Abroad Facebook page, I've had some strong interest in holding a screening up here in Brisbane as well. So that's pretty exciting, and we've got the wheels in motion to see if we can, you know, lock in some dates with cinemas and things like that. So that's pretty exciting, and really look forward to being able to represent that and bring that to Queensland so that
I think there's a chance it'll get to Brisbane.
I think so. So we're really looking forward to that. I guess final thoughts. What's something that you love about being a Kiwi that few people would know about you? Something that's maybe ingrained in you as a, you know, person growing up in New Zealand, or something that, you know, really resonates with you as being a Kiwi?
I think New Zealand has to this day a very strong sense of community.
Mm.
We're very community minded. My parents were extremely community minded. That's probably where I got the public spirited public participation ethos from. But yeah, that's what impresses me, that we do hang together as a community. We are, of course, now many diverse country, but community organisations, community feeling, support for the school, these things are very, very strong, and I think that's a great value of Kiwis.
Yeah, absolutely. And just I find, you know, even when I go home now, just the friendliness, the genuine general friendliness of our Kiwis, you know, that we just say hello to strangers in the street. It's just, you know, part of who we are, but, you know, particularly in our small towns and things like that are dotted around the countryside, that we really are a very friendly and welcoming nation, which makes me so proud to go home and experience that every time. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and we're getting a lot of tourists, and generally that's the feedback you get, that they found New Zealand friendly.
Yeah, which is just so amazing. So any final thoughts or things that you would like to leave our community with, Helen? Just, I guess, any, you know, topics that we didn't touch on, but, you know, just being respectful of your time this evening as well. I know it's getting a little late over there, but yeah.
I mean, final thoughts. I mean, you know, I think New Zealand's in a very interesting time. New lease of life, really. There's a sort of, you know, almost the wheel will come round every 9 years or so in New Zealand politics, and it's come round again. And we have obviously a new young woman Prime Minister who's getting international headlines because she's young and different. Not a lot of women PMs out there, as I said, 1 in 20. So watch the space in New Zealand. A lot of interesting things are happening.
Oh, that's marvellous. Well, thank you again so very, very much for your time. It's been absolutely marvellous and a real privilege to have you on the call today. I'm really looking forward to that screening of the movie myself. So people can catch that in Sydney on March 22nd, and you'll be there for that as well. Melbourne in September, and also watch the space for Brisbane slot and date as well, and we'll let our community know. Yeah, so look, thank you again, much appreciated.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.